The wide receivers coach over at LSU, also assistant head coach Mickey Joseph joins us now. Coach, how you doing?
Fellas, how y'all doing? I'm doing okay.
Glad to have you on. Wanted to have you on today, of course, to talk about Jets. Talk about Justin Jefferson going in the first round because you've seen him work. You've seen him grow. You've seen him develop from day one at LSU. What's it like to see a guy go through that process, Coach, and to live his dream out and be a first-round pick?
Well, I mean, it's a great feeling, as a coach. But it also, just puts back, in perspective that what we're doing at LSU works. Because this kid came out, wasn't highly ranked, but he had some natural ability, but he was raw. But he developed into a person that was going to be probably a late fifth or sixth rounder into a first rounder, and he did it in 3 years. So it's a credit to that kid. How much he worked, and he bought into everything that we asked him to do here at LSU, and he's got high football IQ. But boy, he's such a great kid. He's always smiling. And he's got a competitive nature that's just, goes through the roof. He's got that dog in it that he'll get after you. And, so, you just love coaching kids like that.
Coach, I love the stories you would tell me how he would practice and how he wanted to prove something all the time. And there, late in the season, he wanted to continue to prove that he was one of the best receivers in the country. And he would go out and he would work like a dog. He'd go out there and grind during a practice when sometimes you don't get that from some of the best players, but he never stopped working.
Well, it was a great feeling, knowing that he's in a room because he's gonna set the tone. And I think with Jamar and Terrace coming up, they understood like, okay, I got to practice like Jets practice. You got to go. You got to when you get your rep, you got to go. But Jets, he has some stamina. He can go 60 plays, 65 plays in a game full speed. But he set a great example for the younger kids in that meeting room about how to work and just don't look at the clock. He never looked at the clock. That he just went in there and he just went in there and just gave it his all every time he went in there.
Coach, I'm wondering if you would share with us some of the conversations you're having in recruiting with players right now. That you've got a guy that went in the first round last night, and the players left on your team. One of them won the Biletnikoff Award. You got another first-round pick there potentially. What are these recruiting conversations like right now?
Well, you know what? A lot of the kids, we talking about how our kids come in and how our kids compete, and we also talk about how our kids, it's more than one of us in the room. That it's 4 or 5 kids that really can get after it. And you want to have competition in the room because that's going to get you better. And plus, the recruiting is, you get to play against some of the best corners. We play against some of the best corners in the country, and that really helps you. That really helps you with development when you can play against good competition every day. But it's live right now. We've got a lot of kids that wanting to come, and we still doing some evaluation process with them. And we're trying to make sure they're the right fit for us and the right fit for our system.
Now, Coach, one of the misconceptions, in my opinion, in the pre-draft process was that Justin Jefferson could only play the slot. I don't think that's factual. I think he can play wherever you put him. He can thrive in the slot, but he can also play outside. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but that confused me because I know they pay millions of dollars for scouting in the NFL. He had a whole season where he played outside. He had a whole season. That didn't come up until late in the draft that he couldn't get off press coverage. And my thing was, and I wasn't trying to be a jerk about it, what do you think we do at LSU at practice? We play press man.
Right.
That's known around the country. So to sit here and say, kid, get off press coverage. No. Yes, he can get off press coverage. You're asking a question that's we getting irritated with it because we know he can get off press coverage. You know he can get off press coverage. But since they, some of these guys had to go on just football. They had to look at football, so they're trying to find something. Don't find anything. Just look at it for what it is. And I gave him plays. I said, hey, go to the Auburn game his sophomore year. He's to our sideline, and he's got one of the boys that got drafted first round.
Yep.
And he put him to sleep on a release. He put him to sleep, and I'm like, so what else you need to see? One thing, with Brady coming here and Sullivan coming here was never overcoach him. especially when Brady got here. Brady said, "Mickey, listen, let's not overcoach him. Let's let him play." And that helped us, And we let him play, so we let him release, and we never had anybody. Now we might get jammed up at practice, but my example was this with the kid. You had Greedy, you had Dante Jackson, you had Tolliver, you had Fulton, you had Stingley. You got a lot of corners that this kid don't been against. And you're saying that, can he get off press coverage? Yeah, he can get off press.
Coach, I don't know if you had a chance to talk to any of the Vikings coaches since he was drafted, but this started last night with Adam Thielen spent most of his time in the slot last year, and so did Justin. But obviously, the Vikings having a receiver like Thielen that has spent so much time in the slot, they must think that Justin can play outside because they wouldn't have drafted him otherwise.
Exactly, and I think with Kubiak up there, and he kind of understands. Like, you go back and do your homework, and say, okay, he played a whole year. I mean, he had 53 catches outside. Yeah. We didn't throw the ball as much as we was throwing it. We throw it, last year, the year before, but he had 53 catches outside, and had he was getting press coverage. He was press coverage every play. When he was outside. That's where he started at. He started outside, and the only reason the kid moved inside is because the kid wanted to win a national championship, and he said, I got to get Jamar and Terrace on the field. So his football IQ was a little higher because he has been in college longer. So he said, well, let me move it inside, and Jamar and Terrace can play outside. The kid did this for the team. But I think if he'd have went outside and caught all those balls, they would have said, oh, can he play inside? I mean, those guys confuse me sometimes.
Coach, I'm glad you mentioned Jamar Chase and obviously Terrace Marshall as well. They'll be on this team coming up on this year, so you return a lot of talent there at receiver. Last night was kind of the Jamar Chase highlight tape because of Joe Burrow's highlights and because when they were picking corners and they were talking about some of their weaknesses, well, Jamar Chase was showing up all over that tape as well.
Oh, no doubt. And, you look at Jamar, you look at Terrace, they played at a high level last year. Even Terrace, he got hurt. He was out 3 games, but Jamar played at a high level. Terrace played at a high level. And, we do, like I said, we play against sometimes the best corners we play against is at practice, and we know that as a group, and we're not being cocky about it and, trying to toot our horns. We just know that the guys we play in at practice, they're better than some of the guys that we play on Saturday, and that's just it's the truth, So and look, we fear nobody. We respect all, but we fear none.
Right.
And if you got some NFL notches on your belt, we're coming at you. We're coming at you because we're trying to screw your draft grade up. That's our little quote in the meeting room. Let's screw his draft grade up. Let's make the scouts confused about it. And that's what Jamar did. A lot of those kids who went first round yesterday, and I thought they didn't have the opportunity to cover Jamar. They didn't have the opportunity to cover Jackson. They didn't have the opportunity to cover Marshall. The kids we played against, they understood that those kids can play.
I want to ask you about Terrace Marshall real quick here. And we talked about Jamar. We've talked about Justin. I know he did have that injury last year, but he came back and continued to do what he did in the early part of the season, at the end of the season. And he's a guy that's a quiet guy. He's a quiet young man, but he is a guy that can change your game. And he was so dominant in the red zone. It really felt like that Joe Burrow had a trust in Terrace that was a little bit different.
Yes. And if you ever met Terrace is a great kid.
Unbelievable.
He's a kid that comes across so I can trust him. And, and I think he had a really good connection with Joe. And I think before he went out, I think he was leading the country in TD reception, but I know he was fabulous in the red zone. He was fabulous in the red zone. But Terrace was a big time receiver. He's 6'4", he's about 205, 210, and he's going to play in the slot. He's going to play outside, but he's going to go outside and inside. But he's going to get his catches in a slot, and he might get him a little different than how Justin got him, but he's going to get him because he's a really good player. He's a really good player, but the kid's a hard worker, and like I say, he buys into the LSU way.
Coach, I'm curious about you keeping communications with you guys. I know what they're doing right now to keep themselves in shape and all of those off-season things, and we're getting close to that time that they do to work on chemistry and timing and things like that, and it's challenging right now. I'm wondering how you guys are keeping up.
Well, we do our virtual meeting, 4 days a week, with them, hour and a half on the phone, So we do our virtual meetings, so they all there in the afternoon, and they work out between classes. They go to online classes in the morning, and in the afternoon about 1 or 2 o'clock they'll work out. And what they do with me, they send you a picture of them working out, and Moffitt and his crew in the weight room, they're doing such a great job with them right now. Keeping up with them. So we got hands on. Like I say, just yesterday, we after we had our virtual meeting, our Zoom meeting, we just sat there and we just kind of, talked, chopped it up a little bit with the guys, and and it came to a point where my wife was like, "Oh, y'all sound like little women on the phone. Y'all just miss each other." Well, but it's true though, because when you spend every other day together, and not all of a sudden that it take it away. But I think right now, like I told our guys, let's learn something from this. Let's cherish every day that we go on the practice field or in the weight room, in the classroom, and we take advantage of it, because look how easily it can be taken away. And so now you got to learn something. You got to find something positive with this, what's going on right now. And like I said, we checking on them, and some of them doing real good. Some of them are doing real good. Some of them are struggling, and we're going to help them along. We have a great support system with academics and a great support system with Jack Marucci and Shelley and his crew over there. So everybody's pitching in. Like, when Coach says one team, one heartbeat, it's really pushing it right now, because that's what we have to do to keep our boys in line. But at the end of the day, we all said, whenever they kick the ball off, the Tigers got to be ready, and we will be.
Coach, last one, and we'll get you out of here. And we appreciate your time catching up with Mickey Joseph here on Hanging with Hester. Do you allow Jamar and Terrace and Racy, considering you have older veteran guys in that room, to kind of take that leadership role organically, and you don't try to force it, you just let it happen in these times when everybody's got to kind of be accountable?
Well, you know what? That's one thing about that room. That room holds each other accountable. And we didn't start that. They started that. They started that last year, holding each other accountable. Like, man, that's a bad looking route. Catch the ball. Come on, man. Block. Come on, jog. We don't do it that way. So as a group, they hold each other accountable. So we don't have a lot of problems out of them. That they don't work hard in the leadership role. Justin, he spoke. He was the leader. He was a good leader. But we got some quiet ones in there.
Right.
Like Jamar's quiet. Terrence is quiet. But they'll say stuff. They'll say things like, "Hey, man, let's go." And that's all we need, because like Coach said, a player-driven team is the best team, and I don't run as player-driven. I run as player-driven. Like, hey, they know the guy next to them is itching to get on the field, so I can't mess this up. We're playing the games last year. Well, the other 6 guys who's not playing, they buckle up ready to go. If they get 2 or 3 snaps, they're happy, and that's how you got to have it. You get in there, you have a competitive room. You have a room that care about each other, and everybody's on the same page, and that's how you win football games.
Coach, I appreciate the time. There is Mickey Joseph, receivers coach, assistant head coach over at LSU. I appreciate you giving us a couple minutes here.
Man, I appreciate y'all, and y'all stay safe. We're going to try to go run and get some of these crossfits right now, but we're going to put our masks and gloves on, though.
Nice.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Coach. Have a great day.